Hi, I'm Neil Shawn and thank you for joining me. Now, today you find me on the Holloway Road in the heart of North London. We're here for a special reason. We're going for a night at the Flicks. That's right, a night at the Picture Palace, because we're here at the Coronet Cinema, which was a huge picture palace in its day. But today, it's a place where you can still congregate, meet, and more importantly, enjoy your drink. And yes, even sometimes they still show movies. So without further ado, let's go inside the Coronet. The beautiful Coronet Cinema is located in the North London district of Holloway. It was opened as a Savoy cinema by the Associated British Cinemas, otherwise known as ABC. I bet many people out there though will recall being an ABC minor, but more of that later. Now the cinema opened on the 5th of February 1940. It was one of only a few cinemas that had been virtually completed just before war really had broken out in September 1939. Now, it was designed by the ABC staff architect, Mr. William R. Glenn, in a modern Art Deco style. This was considered really the height of stylization in 1940. It was really the modern touch. It carried on as a Savoy right through until 1962, when it was renamed the ABC. And then again, it was leased in 1979 to an independent company called the Coronet Cinema Chain, who renamed it the Coronet, which as you see today it remains. Now the Coronet Cinema closed on the 22nd of June 1983 with two very big movies that year, Blade Runner and Body Heat, playing in a double bill. But sadly, even they couldn't stop the cinema from being closed. In 1984, the beautiful interior of the Coronet was converted into a snooker hall with a false ceiling across the front of the balcony. The foyer became an amusement arcade. But by 1987, the building had become vacant and lay unused until we had a saviour in the one and only pub chain J.D. Wetherspoons, who purchased the building and then converted it into a pub and renaming it and reopening it the Coronet on the 14th of March 1996, restoring all the beautiful features of the cinema. The refurbishment and the restoration of this former cinema won awards for the Wetherspoon chain of pubs, and it really is a fantastic place to go and have a look around and soak up the atmosphere of a traditional suburban movie palace. Now, one of the stars who would have appeared on many of the screens here at the Coronet is the one and only Richard Todd. Yes, the dam buster himself. Now, I was lucky enough to meet Richard when he was doing a play at a theatre in Hanley called the Theatre Royal. It was an Agatha Christie production, and he naturally, in his later years, was playing some very clever and crusty roles, as he liked to call them. But Richard told me that it was important to go around many of the cinemas, particularly where he was working. Now remember, he worked at that time for the Associated British Film Company, ABC. So they would send them around to go and sit in the audience, basically, the stars that is, to go and see how the audience fared with their films. Now it's hard to believe that Richard Todd, who had starred in so many classic movies and of course finished one of his final big TV roles in the mega hit ITV series Heartbeat, was told to go and look at his own movies. But he told me not many people also believed that he did co-star in a movie way back in 1949 with a man who was to become a president of the United States. That's right, Ronald Reagan. Now, another gorgeous movie star of that era, and one who did go and visit the Coronet, was the one and only Miss Jean Kent. Now, she starred in such British classics as The Wicked Lady and Fanny by Gaslight, both opposite James Mason. But Jean told me when I met her a real secret that not many people would have known in the day. She said that the studios, particularly like the Gainsborough productions and things like that, would send their stars out into the cinemas to go and basically introduce the movie. And there may be 2 or 3, you may be the star and a couple of supporting players. But what she did let her sort of reveal, as it were, was the fact that you didn't just get a car like it would be today. She sometimes turned up on the bus or the tube and literally walked to the cinema. But one of the tricks that she always had, because she said she got fed up of turning up at suburban cinemas and basically they didn't have a bouquet of flowers or anything to present with her on stage. So she had her own fake silk bouquet of flowers made up, so that whenever she turned up at the cinema, the manager, right at the given moment, would walk onto the stage presenting the bouquet of flowers. And as she laughed when she told me this and said that that particular bouquet could be presented up to 3 times a day. And it was a trick she learned from another Gainsborough film star, the very beautiful Phyllis Calvert, who said she'd encountered similar things during the war years. Jean, of course, went on to score in many, many movies and TV roles after the golden age of cinema, most notably starring with Marilyn Monroe and Laurence Olivier in their mega 1957 movie, The Prince and the Showgirl. And Jean told me that Marilyn was everything that you could possibly imagine and more. She said, not a great actress, but when you look like that, did you really need to? So we've entered now the beautiful Coronet Theatre, and one of the big stars of the day that made quite a few appearances here, because they also had a stage, was the brilliant comedian and sometime actor Tommy Trinder, who had quite a few movies during the war years. Now, they did put on occasional variety shows as well. As I said before, you know, you couldn't just be an actor in those days or a film star. You really had to come out and sell your product. Now, Tommy Trinder was one of the biggest stars of that particular period, famous for his catchphrase, "You lucky people." And you were certainly lucky when you came to see him here at the Coronet, because you didn't have to pay the Palladium Theatre prices. You got to see him in your local picture house, possibly for a fraction of that. And more importantly, Tommy Trinder was live in the flesh. So here we can see actually the inside of the Coronet and how it looks today. And Wetherspoons have done a brilliant job in restoring just some of the wonderful features. As you can see across there, that would have been where the main screen was. And of course the emergency doors at the back. The whole place is littered with sort of film and cinema memorabilia. There's even an old projector that they had way back in the day. What's beautiful about this place when you do look around is you can sense the atmosphere of how the people of Holloway would have really enjoyed a night at the Picture Palace. And coming in it today, whether it be for lunch, dinner, breakfast, or even just a cup of coffee, you can really enjoy the wonderful atmosphere of what the Coronet must have been like in its heyday. Now behind me here is the balcony, and they are kind of considered the cheap seats of the cinema. That's where you went, of course, if you wanted a bit of a Guinness and a canoodle. And big-hearted Arthur Askey, another great star, was here at the time. He had many big hits during the heyday of the Coronet, and he recalls that a lot of the people in the balcony sometimes would boo his movies because he said he came on the stage here, was rather cheeky to them, and consequently he just wanted to get the crowd going. Lots and lots and lots of fun that Arthur gave everybody, and of course the atmosphere here in this wonderful cinema. Here's a gorgeous picture of a rank studio star, Dirk Bogarde, who would have had many films here at the Coronet. And when you walk into this place, and you can see like up here, that would be the balcony, you'd come in and you go up these stairs here, where you would of course maybe buy some popcorn, some sweets, or maybe you brought your own oranges and flicked the pips off the top of the balcony benchmark to the people below. The Coronet has been beautifully restored by this pub chain J.D. Wetherspoon, and actually they still show movies here today. We've just found out that they do have these still occasional movie nights, which is wonderful to think that film itself is still being shown in a wonderful provincial theatre on the Holloway Road in the heart of London. Now, lots of big stars also came to the Coronet, even though it was a provincial picture house. This is because you needed really to go out to the public and sell your films. Now this is where it gets interesting, because when you look at it today and you go to a premiere, say at Leicester Square or you know, anywhere in the centre of London, you see a red carpet, you see a big car pull up, and they may do a bit of a chat to some people as they go up the red carpet. It wasn't like that back in the Coronet's heyday. People like Dinah Dawes would turn up in her pink Cadillac, looking gorgeous, Britain's answer to Marilyn Monroe, and make sure the crowd of Holloway Road could see her, because it was vital that they came to see her latest movie, whether it be Yield to the Night, Dance Hall, or all the other great movies that she starred in. The final word really must go to our very own Dame Joan Collins, who I've been lucky enough to meet and interview on numerous occasions. Joan herself started out with the Rank Film Organisation and starred in such classics as Lady Godiva Rides Again and Kosh Boy. Joan told me that she loved provincial cinema and said you could sense the excitement the minute you walked in by the smell of the popcorn and the real anticipation as the organ rose up, played some music, went down, and then the main feature started. It was a thrilling night which she loves to see and hopes one day may even return. I hope you've enjoyed our short film where we've taken you back in time for a night at the Flicks, the Picture Palace. I've been Neil Sean. I hope you have enjoyed yourself watching this short movie, and don't forget to join us and share on Twitter, Facebook and all other social media platforms. Until next time, take care.